All right. Welcome to another vlog with me, Pastor Matt. It's great to join you again for another week, continuing with just different things every week. Once we're able to get back into the swing of things, I might do some more day in the life type stuff. But for now, I'm going to hit you with some fun footage of our drive out to the beach and talk a little bit about a subject today that I think you're going to find pretty fascinating, and that is the idea of angels that is in Scripture and in which we and many Christians believe. It's interesting because I must admit I have been known a time or two to throw a little shade at some other religions, particularly the new agier ones like Scientology, over some of the goofy and wacky things that they believe. Stuff like motherships coming back down out of space to pick up loyal and faithful followers, or ideas like each person will be given a new planet to populate one day by God, things of that nature. But I have to admit that, especially to the skeptic or the atheist, there are some things in Christianity that people find equally foolish and hard to believe in. Angels can be one of those things. The idea that there is this largely invisible race of creatures that exist on a spiritual plane, but yet at times interact with us here, that sounds kind of crazy. And to those people, if you're, mostly this vlog is for people that come to our church or are Christian, but if you're a skeptic or an atheist or someone who doesn't believe or who believes in another religion and you've stumbled across this, let me just hit you with this idea in brief. Even when it comes to science allows for the existence of some crazy things, not the least of which is the possibility of extraterrestrial life, of aliens that live on other planets. And this can run the gamut from just microscopic organisms to the potential of other sentient life. Then there's things like, I've always been a bit of a fan of astronomy and astrophysics and things like that. And so one time I read the Stephen Hawking's book, A Brief History of Time. And in it, when he was talking about antimatter, he posited the existence of a whole antimatter universe with people and things and objects and all that kind of stuff. And so if science can posit the existence of things like that, then perhaps the idea of angels is not really all that crazy. At any rate, I am going to talk about it today from the perspective of Christian belief and Christian scripture, aka the Bible, because I am a Christian and I am mostly talking to other Christians. So let's answer some questions about angels. There are a few misconceptions about angels that I see rather frequently, and the two most common are depictions of angels, which in this case I'm referring to kind of that precious moments angel, what we would call cherubic angel, little babies with chubby cheeks and little tiny wings. And the second is the idea that when people die and they go to heaven, that they become angels. We've seen this in pop culture, like that old show, Highway to Heaven, that you may remember. Or we see it often at times of death and funerals when people will say cliche things like, well, there's another angel in heaven now, or I guess God needed another angel in heaven. Guys, none of that is true. Okay? We are people Yes, our souls go to heaven when we die to be with the Lord, to be at peace, to be at rest, but we stay people. We don't become angels. Angels are something entirely different. And so the first question is, when were angels created? Scripture doesn't say specifically when angels were created. We know that they were there at the creation of Adam and Eve, or at least shortly after, because Satan, who was an angel, in this case a fallen angel, an angel who rebelled against God, was there to tempt Adam and Eve. So we know at least by then, by the existence of Adam and Eve, that angels also existed. Other than that, Scripture doesn't actually say when angels were created. Now, some people believe that they were first created before anything else, that they existed before God created the universe and the earth and all of that. But I have a slightly different take. One of the things I noticed is that in Scripture, angels are often referred to or referenced as or connected with stars. We see a lot of references to this, but one of the most obvious is, again, I got to go back to Satan, which seems weird, but again, he is an angel. But Satan, also sometimes called Lucifer, was referred to as the bright morning star. And so there is a connection between stars and angels. Not that we literally believe that the physical stars in space are angels, but God does connect the two. And we see that stars were created on day 3. So if stars and angels are often connected, it could be that when God created the stars, that was a reference not only to the literal stars in the sky, but to the host of angels. Now, I can't say with absolute certainty that's when it happened. But again, I think Scripture at least suggests that is possible. So, next question, how many angels are there in existence? Again, Scripture doesn't specifically say. There's some references like in Revelation, John sees 10,000s, and that's a plural of 10,000s, so more than 10,000 angels in attendance. And so there's lots and lots of angels. There's a whole host of them. In fact, they are often referred to as the heavenly host. That said, can't necessarily take that number literally. First of all, the number 10,000 was frequently a number used to simply mean like a whole lot, like more than I could count. And I don't know about you, but if I'm looking at a crowd of more than a few hundred, it gets to the point where I can't really count them. And so, how we can't necessarily take that number literally. Plus, in Revelation, a lot of the numbers are symbolic numbers anyway. It's one of the ways I think a lot of people actually get into trouble in how they try to interpret Revelation is by taking the numbers too literally. When in many cases they're very clearly figurative. So how many angels are there? We don't know exactly. Are there a lot? Yeah, there are a lot. And again, in Revelation, it says the number of fallen angels was about 1/3 of that total, because it talks about the tail of the dragon, that is Satan, sweeping away 1/3. And I think it says stars out of the sky, right? And so those are the angels that fell with him, what we commonly refer to now as demons. So we don't know exactly how many angels there are, but there are lots, possibly tens of thousands of angels. So what else can we talk about when it comes to angels here? Do angels have physical bodies like humans? Well, in Scripture, they're referred to as spiritual creatures. Hebrews 1:14 describes them as ministering spirits sent forth to minister for those who will inherit salvation. The word angel itself, by the way, comes from a word that means messenger. So they are servants of God, and they're spiritual creatures. That said, they very often appeared in human form. In fact, getting back to that kind of idea of what angels look like and that all too common and, in my opinion, unfortunate depiction of angels as little cherubs, angels in Scripture generally are depicted only one of two ways. They're depicted either as human beings, people creatures that look like men, and yes, not women, literally male humans, or they're depicted as some type of animal representation, usually an amalgam of different animals, with the head of a lion and an eagle and wings and claws and some combination thereof, or occasionally just one straightforward thing, again, like Satan being depicted as a serpent, or then later in Revelation as a dragon. So they can appear visible to the naked eye, but they don't technically have physical bodies. They are spiritual creatures. One of the things that is true about angels, and also demons for that matter, is that sometimes people can get kind of obsessed with them. We overly focus on them, and it becomes almost a kind of spiritualism, or maybe even an occultism. But one thing we have to understand is that angels, and demons for that matter, are not God. They are not omniscient. They are not all-knowing. They are not omnipotent. They are not all-powerful. They are not omnipresent. In other words, they don't exist everywhere all at once. They are finite, created beings, literally creatures, just like we are in that sense. And so they are not deserving of our worship. They are not deserving, they're deserving of our respect, right? But we don't worship them. In fact, there's several times in Scripture, particularly the Old Testament, where an angel appears to someone and that person begins to bow down and worship them, and the angel always stops them and says, no, don't worship me, worship God alone. So angels are there to serve God. They exercise power on behalf of God. They do his bidding. And there are different classes of them. There are what are called the archangels, only a few of which are named in Scripture. There's a class of angel called the cherubim. And there's a class of angel called a seraphim. And it's a little too much to get into those here. And again, Scripture doesn't go into it that much. And really, it's not something that is worth spending a ton of our time on. Again, they're simply there to serve God, and so we respect them, we rejoice in their existence and that they serve the Lord, but we don't worship them, we don't spend too much time focusing on them. So do we as Christians believe that they exist? Yes, absolutely we do. And we take it as a blessing when we see them do the work of the Lord. But aside from that, Scripture says some things such as that they actually long to look into some of the things that we can. Because we are blessed to be able to have a saving relationship with Jesus Christ. And even the angels, it says, rejoice in that. And so that's where we place our focus, on our relationship with Jesus Christ. We acknowledge the existence of some of these amazing things, these amazing creatures, and we glorify not those creatures, but the God that created them, the God that made something that amazing. So hopefully I've been able to answer some of the common questions people have about angels, some of the common misconceptions that people have about angels. and been able to enlighten you a little bit that way. If you have any more questions about angels, leave a comment below, either where we share this on Facebook or on the YouTube channel. Comment below with any questions that you might have, or your thoughts on angels and the existence of them and things related to that. Also, don't forget, over 50% of the people that are watching these videos are not subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you've been watching, if you were enlightened by even one thing, if I taught you one thing that you didn't know, if I made you laugh one time, if I did anything that you enjoyed about this video and you want to see more of that, then please help us out. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know, particularly when we go live with things, and then hit that like button, share this video on social media, and it will help us out tremendously. So, God bless, and I'll see you again next week.